my gosh. Are you ready to pull your hair out just like me? Because Audacity makes no sense. Hi, I'm Krystal Proffitt, and I teach entrepreneurs how to start, launch, and market their podcast. And today we're going to cover some basic Audacity mixing, and I'm going to show you exactly what I do in my podcast episodes and how you can totally release that burden of not understanding Audacity. So let's get right to it. So I get asked all the time about mixing audio tracks together within Audacity, and so I thought I would just give you a quick tutorial to show you exactly what it looks like as I prepare an episode to be published to my hosting site. Okay, so I'm gonna show you exactly how I do this process in Audacity, and I'm just gonna share my screen with you. Okay, so here we are in Audacity, and what I'm gonna do first is import all the files that I have already done, and then I'm just gonna show you. So actually, let me go back. I wanna open up a recent file that I was working on. So this is the latest episode that I'm gonna be publishing for my podcast, and the reason why it looks so short is because it was at the very end. So if I zoom all the way out, you can see that this episode is close to 45 minutes long. It was an interview, and I just recorded the intro and the outro separately. I made another video stating that I like to listen to the entire episode of the interview, and then if there's any changes on the beginning or the end, like if we had some questions before and I was already recording, then I'll cut those off, and then anything on the end, because I like to talk. And I usually chat with my guests for a few minutes afterwards to see what upcoming projects they have going on and everything, so I'll cut that off as well. But other than that, I don't really do any editing within the episode unless there's an interruption or, you know, in my case, a few times I've had kids barge in the room and do something crazy. So yeah, so I want to show you the exact process that I do whenever I have my interview. It's done, it's ready to go. I record everything in Zoom, and then I strip the audio out of that, and I upload the audio file into Audacity after I've converted it, and I can show you how to do that using Cloud Convert. But I convert it to an MP3 file or a WAV file because Audacity can only work with those files. You can't import a video file into Audacity. I'll explain all that later. But okay, so now we have, this is the interview track. I'm going to import the ones that I've already done, which is, and I put all of these, I can show you how I do my folders in another video. But I do all of my folders for my episodes individually. That way I can find things a lot easier. But here I'm gonna grab the intro and the outro, which have already been exported to an MP3 format. So this is really important. When it comes to Audacity, you have to have it as an MP3 format in order to put it into itself, to add more things to it. So you can't add like a ton of Audacity files together. They need to be in an MP3 format in order for it to upload a lot easier. So I'm going to upload those, and then it'll upload it in the order of how it was in the selection. So before I start switching everything up, because I'm going to add a few more things, that was just the intro and the outro, I'm going to import the rest of the files that I want for this video. So I'm going to go back to audio again, and what I do is I have a folder that says all episodes. So I know that this needs to go in every single episode. So I have music for the very end of the podcast. I have a self-sponsored ad, and then I have my main theme of the podcast. And so now I can see, you can see the names of each one of them here. And so what I'll do is, okay, there's the outro. So I will go ahead and move track to bottom. Boom, it's on the bottom. And then now my podcast used to be the Rookie Podcast. And so I just need to change the name of that. But I know that that's going to be at the bottom as well. That's actually going to be at the very bottom. So I'm going to shove that all the way down. Okay. Well, we still have the interview up at the top. Well, here's my intro. That's going to be at the very top. So I'm going to move track to top. That's where that's going to be. And then I still don't want the interview going yet. So I'm going to move this track up. And then I'm going to move this track up, which is my my main theme for my podcast. So you'll hear me talk about the podcast format. And this is kind of the beginning, middle, and end. You need to know this on paper, how you want your podcast to flow, because it just makes things a lot easier in the editing process. So you know, oh wait, where does my self-sponsored ad go? Where does my music go? Where does my bio for my guest go? Like, you need to know all of these things. And in order to do that, it's a lot easier to have it out on paper. At least for the first few times when you do it, it just makes a lot more sense. So I want to take a break real fast and make sure that you're still with me here. So type in the comments below, yes, I'm with you, or you totally lost me, to let me know that you're on the right track with me. You're in this, we're doing this together, and I'm not just talking to myself here. But let's get back to the video so I can share with you even more tips for using Audacity for your podcast. Okay, so we're gonna go back in here. So now everything flows the way that it should, except, hang on, let me move this one down. Okay, so everything looks great in here. It's in the correct order. But as you can tell, if I were to hit play, all of this would play on top of each other. That's not what we want. So I'm gonna go back to the top. I'm gonna grab my time shift tool. And I don't know why that's so hard for me to say. Time shift tool. It's like a tongue twister. Okay, and then I'm gonna slide this over. This is the first one, and I just go in order. I've seen videos where people, like, cause you can drag it all and you can like put it all in one track. I don't wanna do that, because when you do that, you lose the title of your track. So if you have, you know, multiple titles or like multiple sections of audio all squished together, and one of them is in the wrong order, or it just gets confusing. So I like to keep everything separate. It helps me stay organized. So I will line it up whenever those, here, I'll zoom in on the screen, then move over. So whenever everything, there we go. Whenever everything lines up beautifully, like end to end, that's when you'll see that yellow line. That's what that indicates. It means that this track is ended, this track is beginning, and that's the order, like that's how you want it to be. Unless you want a big gap for some reason, you want like more silence before or after an ad is, until your next segment starts or your next track starts, then you can do that. But I always align my ads yellow to yellow. I want to see that beautiful yellow line, because that tells me that I'm on track. So what we have here, we have the intro, then we have the Proffitt podcast main theme, then we have a self-sponsored ad, then we have the actual interview right here. I need to go back in and add her bio. I just realized I don't have her bio in here, so I'll go record that and then I'll be able to drop it into the file. But for the purposes of this, I'm just gonna keep going. So I lined the ad here, her bio would be right here, and then there is the interview, and then I'm gonna drag this outro all the way, and this is why I like to zoom out. So I'm gonna zoom out because this is a really long file and it'll take me forever to scroll, so I'm just gonna zoom out, and then those align right there, and then this one is my little music for my outro. So I'm gonna zoom back in, and then I usually kind of overlap it, so when I'm finished talking, the music keeps going. But I want to show you, my music is really loud. So I want to show you volume adjustments for whenever you have background music or you have something that's super loud, but you still want to have it very subtly in the background. So you can change the gain volume right here. I change it down to 25. Because it's really loud, and I do an adjustable fade kind of in, so like you don't hear it, and then it comes in, it kind of fades in. We have an interruption. We have a special guest. Come here. Can you say hi?
Hi.
Say hi. How's it going? He's super shy. How's it going? Oh, he's being crazy. Okay. Oh my goodness. Okay, so interruption over. So I want to show you how I create this effect with my music at the end. And honestly, this is the only effect that I use. There are so many things, and I know a lot of people get overwhelmed with how many options there are. Keep it simple. I've said it so many times, just keep it simple. So I'm going to show you, you're going to go up to, you make sure that this track is selected. You can see the yellow bars here. See how if you go here, that turns white. You want to make sure this is white, these yellow bars are selected. And then I'm going to go up to effect. Like I said, there's so many things that you can choose from, but I only do the adjustable fade. So I'm going to click that. These are the settings that I set it to a long time ago. I want the S curve up, which means it's low and then it goes higher. If you're going the opposite way, you would want to have the S curve down where it starts out loud and then it kind of fades out. So that's how I've always liked to do it. This is, it kind of happens towards the end. And then everything else I don't mess with. So I'm going to click OK. It's going to adjust it. And then you can see it visibly gets smaller. So it's actually showing you the fade of the music. So what I'm gonna do now, this is like the last step. And like I said, I have to go back and add her bio to this, but I go all the way back to the very beginning. Let me unplug my headphones here. And then I listen.
Welcome back. I'm super excited to share with you today.
That was a super corny intro. Welcome back. Then I make sure that all of the tracks sound good whenever they transition from one another.
And freaking crushing it. So let's dive right in. Welcome to the Proffitt podcast.
Okay, that sounds good. It sounds like I could probably shift it a little bit further to give it an additional break, but it sounds good enough. It's that's pretty normal when it comes from the hook of what I do in the beginning of the episode to when it just fades right into the Proffitt podcast theme. So here, this is going to be music, so I know that it can be as close to this as I want it to be, because the last part of that is just a little bit of music, and then it's goes straight into there. Holy moly. It's my self-sponsored ad. And then I have the interview that I want to make sure.
The quick and dirty video. You'll see what I'm talking about when you get there. All right, ready, podcast listener.
Okay, and then it goes straight from the ad into the interview, which would be her bio. And if you need to adjust the volumes on any of these, you can do the same. I'm happy with how it all sounds. Then here's the interview. And then from here, this is the interview.
Thanks so much for having me. So I hope you enjoyed the interview with Erin as much as I did.
Okay, it's actually, that's a little loud, and I don't even have my headphones in. So I'm going to turn it down just a little bit.
Thanks so much for having me. So I hope you enjoyed the interview with Erin as much as I did.
Sounds pretty good. I'm going to turn down just one more. And y'all, I usually have to do this because I'm super loud. I am so loud. I always have to, like right now, you can see I'm recording even this at 39 recording volume, and it goes up to 100. I used to have it at like 90, and I didn't understand that I'm so loud that it's going to sound awful. So I turn it down. So sometimes I have to mess with the gain on individual tracks to make sure that they sound good. Okay, so that is the outro. Let's see how the music sounds.
And stay tuned for next week's episode because we've got some really cool stuff coming up in the future.
Fade in a little bit.
But remember, keep it up. We all have to start somewhere.
Man, that was great timing. I didn't even try to make sure that all the wording works, but like I said, I've done this for a long time, so I kind of know when I say my little tagline at the very end. But that's it. That's how you record, or sorry, not how you record. That is how you edit and mix together all of the tracks for your podcast. And I can see it's a roughly, right under 49 minutes, which is good because my typical episodes, they're usually between 30 minutes to an hour. It just depends on whether it's an interview or it is a solo episode. So now I'm going to make sure and I save it. I cannot stress enough how often you need to just press Control S, save, 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 save. I'm kind of crazy about it. But then I'm gonna export this. Now, like I said, it's not the final finished product, but I'm gonna go ahead and do it for my demonstration here. I'm actually gonna put demo at the end, so I know I need to go back and add her bio. But I export it, let me bring this over here, and I put in my metadata. So this is really important because this is what will show up whenever you are listening to this on some sort of player, like your Windows Media Player. If you have your Apple Podcast open, then this is the little like tiny text that will show up. So you want to make sure that you have this in here. I'm just going to put Aaron Call Interview. That's actually not what I'm going to call this at the end, but for this, the Proffitt Podcast. This is track number 63, 2019 podcast. And then I normally don't put anything in the comments. And then I'm going to hit OK. It's going to export it to an MP3 file because this is what I need to use to upload it to my hosting site. And then there we go. Like, it'll take a few minutes, and then once the audio file is ready, I will import that to Buzzsprout, which is my hosting site. I love them. If you're looking for a hosting site, I suggest you try them because you can get your first 90 days for free. Disclaimer, I am an affiliate and I love them, and I hope that you try them out. You can find that in a link below this video. So that does it for this video. I hope that you found this helpful. Be sure to check out the other Audacity tutorials that we have and some of the other videos that you're gonna find very, very useful for your podcast. And if you haven't already, be sure to subscribe below and hit that bell. That way you're notified every time we upload a brand new episode. And be sure to sign up for our free 5-day podcast bootcamp. You'll find the link below this video. But that does it for this Audacity tutorial. I will see you in the next video. Remember, keep it up. We all have to start somewhere.